This man is an armed robber. Days after being released from a 14-year prison sentence, he's back in custody. Only now he's facing a life sentence. This is his story.
Because I say it's an addictive thing, myself. It's like people are addicted to cigarettes, alcohol. I was addicted to armed robberies.
The BBC has been granted unique access to the investigation and prosecution of serious crimes. From 999 to Verdict, for the first time on British television, this is the anatomy of a crime.
Hello there, it's Hatfield Post Office.
Yeah?
We've just had an attempted robbery again.
Tell me what's happened.
Well, they've come in with balaclavas on again.
How many?
There were two came into the shop, but they've run off when we ran out the back door because they had guns this time. They've not got anything...
What kind of guns have they got? Hatfield Post.
It was like a shotgun.
There were 4,000 armed robberies last year in England and Wales alone. 2 men have raided this post office in South Yorkshire. The man in charge of the operation to catch them is Chief Inspector Danny Gilhooly.
We've all had sub-briefings, and you all know quite a bit about this job so far. So what I'm going to do now is just give you a general, overall briefing. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, 3 men drove in a green Vauxhall Vectra to Hatfield Post Office. 1 man stayed in the car, and 2 others got out, went into the post office with balaclavas over their heads, threatened the staff and asked for the money. The staff had been through this before, so they stood their ground.
The front door opened and 2 men walked in, and as soon as they came through the door, the first one put a balaclava over his head. So I obviously thought, this is a raid.
The man came to the counter and shouted to me, "Get back here, get back here." I didn't take any notice, and I ran out with Dave out into the car park at the back of the shop.
As they were leaving, one of them starts laughing and pulls the balaclava off his head. Strange behaviour.
The 2 robbers had fled the shop, gone up the side alley and met us again in the car park, going for their getaway car, by which time they'd taken the balaclavas off again, so we got a good visual of the faces.
Only one of them had a balaclava on, though. It was the one with the gun. He took the balaclava off, and he'd got very distinctive features. He'd got grey, wiry hair,
and ponytail,
yeah. And he looked about 40 to 45.
The response car, then, looking for this vehicle, finds it. It's abandoned. Now, a check on the car shows it's a company car, belongs to a firm in Hull. And they said, oh yes, it belongs to our section manager, Colin Blackshaw, he's about 40 years of age. We do a check on this chap, and he comes back with 50-odd pages of previous convictions. This is a photograph of him. He's a heroin addict, and judging by the laughing on the job exit, he's probably high along with his mates.
Team leader to Silver. If it's in order, we're going to enter and search slowly and methodically. Over.
Yes, Roger received. Permission granted. Thanks for that.
There's no sign of the men at Blackshaw's address. But the getaway car is providing clues about Blackshaw's accomplice.
What colour was his ponytail?
Grey.
There's a further lead, a name on letters found in the car.
They're addressed to him in prison. Malcolm Morrison is somebody who was in prison, the guy whose company car this is. So that's why we're interested in him and looking at addresses for him. I've looked through and the postcodes are all from Milton Keynes. There's nothing local that I've spotted so far.
Malcolm Morrison has spent most of his adult life in prison. He was last released 2 weeks ago and has a local address.
Another extremely long record for robbery, violence, burglary and post office robberies. We are certain he's the second man in the gang. He's big Oxford connections. We think he'll be leaving soon. If we're going to find him, it'll be tonight.
Oh no, black cat.
Oh no, it's crossed our path. On the continent, there's twice as many police officers as they have here. This street would have been cordoned off and remained cordoned off for 24 hours. The gendarmes would have cordoned this whole thing off and would have stayed here and waited and searched every house. But here we can give it half an hour, that's all we've got.
Go ahead.
Yeah, with no movement, we're going to give it a bang on the door now and issue a challenge.
Yeah, I'll receive.
This is where they've got the fingers on the trigger now and any sort of movement.
Team leader received.
Right.
Downstairs is clear.
Okay. Yeah, Silver, that was received. Thanks for that.
The firearms people now withdrawn and CID officers now are searching through the bedroom for any clue or intimation as to where he is, what he's doing, and most importantly, where are the shotguns. That's the most important thing, we must find out where they are.
With no sign of the shotgun, the investigation switches to CID. A team of 12 detectives, led by Acting Chief Inspector Mick Mason.
I know he was out in March '93, so he did an armed robbery. So he went away in '93 sometime for armed robberies of post offices where he used a sawn-off shotgun. And also had a dispute with a man and broke in to the man's mum and dad's house and beat them nearly to death. Cut them with a knife to find, or torture them basically, find out where it's somewhere.
Mick's number 2 is Acting Inspector Dave Pickett.
She's found letters yet from a woman in Milton Keynes to Morrison within the car. But they are actually love-type letters apparently to Morrison.
And they have an itemised bill for Morrison's mobile.
He's made 6 calls in an hour and he's phoned 3 Vodafone numbers, he's phoned a Donny number and he's phoned 2 01908 numbers. So we need to find out where they are. Can you do that? We'll be able to find out pretty quickly for us.
If the landline
just find out what code it is.
Oh yeah, sure.
Can you just ring them now if you can in a second? Yeah. 01908, just ring operator and ask that.
The getaway car was abandoned 2 miles from Hatfield.
Have you seen the car before?
Pardon?
Have you seen the car before?
No, but it's about 3 years since there was one band here.
Yeah. You say you didn't see any occupants?
No.
Right. You didn't see anything else suspicious?
No.
Nothing at all? Right.
Up at the top, there's a T-junction. 2 of them have gone left. We'll start searching up here. But there's also another route we're going to have to have a look at afterwards, so we'll crack on with this. Alright?
But I sit in the kitchen and read my books, so I didn't see anything. I can't see above the window.
Right.
Yeah.
The 01908 code turns out to be Milton Keynes.
Colin Blackshaw's ex-wife lives in Milton Keynes, and obviously Malcolm Morrison's associate through these letters lives in Milton Keynes. So they've got quite a lot in common really. Probably that's where the liaison in prison has started.
It's moving slightly, isn't it? But that's the kind of thing we need. That, if she's been writing to him, he's gone down there anti-forever.
Come on, out.
think you know them then, these?
There are more than 120 statements to be taken.
Oh, good. Well, it scares you, doesn't it? You know, you think, should I go to the post office or shall I send something for me?
Sent husband?
Yeah, sent husband, yeah.
What time of day would you think it was?
I don't know, I can't remember. We were going to the cemetery.
Afternoon?
I can't remember. I just can't remember, I tell you. It all goes, it's my age. That's what I tell everybody.
Right, so there was the lady
What
with
time
the...
did I see you? It was just not long, about 10 minutes before you came.
Right, it's 2:25 when I got there.
Well, fair enough then. Well, you don't expect it, do you, armed robbery in a little village like this?
Apart from what happened there 6 weeks ago at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Were they not armed, that? Hadn't they got pickaxes or something, so I was told.
Using the addresses found in the car, they've now identified a likely hideout for the men in Milton Keynes.
Old Brook. Here we are, Brook End.
Old Brook, is that
Old
on there?
Brook, Milton Keynes. We've got to somehow get a drive past to see if the van's there. They've also found some passport photographs, but there's only 2 out of 4, so other 2's either going to be with his application. And he looks a lot older.
Did you see him run out of the post office?
Well, yeah, they came running
from
the
post office.
We're from the post office, yeah, that's what I thought they were anyway.
2 men ran past. They're only 10 foot away. And how long do you think you had them in your view from them running out and running past you? I've got to ask.
I'm not a policeman. I'm just...
3 seconds?
I don't know.
5 seconds?
You get there and run past me and see how long it'll take.
I'll say about 3 seconds.
Yeah, and then,
Well,
as I say...
About 5 or 6 if it was Simon, about 2 if it was...
I just went like that, and then when... I stepped back and watched this man with grey ponytail run up the thing.
They need to check the Milton Keynes address, but the local police are otherwise engaged.
They said, you're lucky, I've just come in office. He says, everybody's out down at this Bon Jovi concert. If we start to ring in Milton Keynes, they're going to get no response, are we? No. Not with 100, he said there's 100,000 outdoor concert and it's going on right through. If you're down Milton Keynes, you're wanting to keep out of the way though. It's a nice place to go and have a wander around, isn't it? You're never going to find it, are they?
Morning.
The men are on the move again. Morrison has been spotted in Leeds.
What's happened, shall I let you know? She's come out, the woman of the house, and she's locked the door. And she's come out with Morrison and a kid. And they've got into the car and they've drove off. Where Colin is, they don't know. Now they're saying, their DCI's, trying to get a message back to me to say, look, Mick, if we can get one without the other one, do we want that? And I'm saying yes. We can't let an armed robber run round streets and just follow him. If Mrs. D and them come to an agreement to get one, get one. OK, I'll go and wear a photo to her. I'll let you know.
You can do an ID parade for us at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Properly moving them. I've pre-booked a slot or told it.
Good thinking,
But he's going to... We've got extensions, everything to think about.
Very, very well. Hello, Mick Mason. Where is he?
The police in Leeds have followed Morrison to a local shopping centre.
Okay, then. With the female now. Well, right with the kid. Where's the car? Is the car unoccupied nearby? Okay then, mate. Right, ta-ra. He's just walking in that corner. He's out in centre with a woman and his child. The car's unoccupied nearby, and I've just heard Andy shouting background. He's here, coming out corner. So, any second now then. They've also just walking in that corner back to the car with shopping. They've gone around a couple of shops. They've come out at a bun shop, but something must have happened. She's obviously joined them.
Everyone's just been laid on top of it now.
Hello, Mick Mason. Hey, Pandy. Great. All right, mate, ta-ra. Speak to you in a bit. Yep, he's in custody. He says, it looks like we've got a baggie back at Cow. And he says, I'm telling you, there's a balaclava, a full-face balaclava, rated top at bag. But it's imperative we look for a gun into it.
Have you any illness or injuries that we need to know about? No? Okay. Are you taking any tablets or medication for anything? No. No? Right. Any mental problems or depression? No. And have you ever tried to harm yourself? No? All right. You've been fine with me. You've had handcuffs on, which I've recorded. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to take no known risk, and if you could sign me that there, just to say that I've asked you those questions in your presence. Thank you very much indeed. Okay.
Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to authorise your detention here because I believe it's necessary to secure and preserve evidence of the offences for which you've been arrested and to obtain evidence by way of questioning. Understand that? Okay. Right. Where's he going to go?
Number 8.
Just want to sit on number 8.
Right, so show me the way. I'm going to this side.
Down here, 4th on the right. Okay. Come with me. And then we'll change you.
What area?
Colin Blackshaw was also arrested in Leeds shortly after Morrison, but he hasn't agreed to be filmed.
Right. Grab some dinner and come back here. All right, mate.
Custody rules allow a maximum 96 hours to gather enough evidence to charge the men, but progress is hampered by Blackshaw's drug addiction.
The doctor says, yes, he's coming off heroin, but he's not serious enough to go to hospital, and I think a lot of it's feigned. So they're giving him about 20 minutes now, chatting with the 20 minutes in cell, and then Brief's going to have another chat to him. And Sister says, I'm lost as well. Really, we ought to be getting something off him. So our clock's ticking into.
Dave Pickett and office manager DC Carl Turton are going ahead with the identity parade.
We've gone through witness statements earlier on to see who we can potentially use for ID parades. We've got one witness in particular who said, you'll put him in front of me and I'll identify him for you. If we just pick our best witnesses, we may be criticised later for not using other witnesses who may not be able to pick the suspect out on an ID parade. So we've got, out of the 7 witness statements, one's gone to Spain on holiday, so we've got 6 to try and hopefully identify our man for us.
If you stand up, please, gentlemen. Right, the time is now 6:52. There are 14 files paraded. Do you object to any of the persons paraded?
What about getting the third guy from the island? Him now, do you think he's going to... Should we stay in with him?
Yes, number 7.
Can you step out, please?
Number 9.
Number 9, can you step out, please?
One of the witnesses saying that we'll have to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, you 7, do you mind? Thank you.
Right, before these gentlemen leave, are you happy with the selection you made, or do you want to swap any over?
I'm happy with our selection.
Right, you can now select any position on the parade you wish.
I'll select number 3.
Right. You want to take that position up?
Yeah, what about hats?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just do that. And then, do you want anyone else next to you rather than the ones that you've got? Can you just move down here?
Can you move down, please? I suggest that baseball caps opposite way around would be the best option for this.
Okay.
You can wear it so that it's on the hairline, please, gentlemen. And if you can tuck any hair that's hanging out of the way, please. So if the gent at number 4 can get more of that hair out of the way, please. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Right. Even though you've selected the position you're in now, you can change for any other position. Are you happy where you are? Happy with who's next to you? Yes. Right. Right, you've been asked here today to see if you can identify the person you saw on Thursday, the 14th of June 2001, at 2:10 p.m, sat in the front passenger seat of a green Vauxhall Vectra on the car park at the rear of Hadfield Post Office.
Among the property seized with Morrison and Blackshaw are items belonging to neither man.
With your credit cards then, Evo, what kind of position do you think you're going to be in soon?
Reported stolen from the Halifax.
Yeah.
Sort code relates it down to the branch in Milton Keynes. But I'm bashing my head against the brick wall. But we've got a BT charge card in the same name. I've just faxed the data protection form off, so within 5 minutes I'll know who that card relates to, which hopefully will identify the owner of the bank card, and then we're away. Hoping.
Right. There was an identification. Do you wish to say anything?
No.
You've now got the option, if you wish, to move your position on the parade.
No, sorry. I'm
Happy where you are. Okay.
Can we sit?
No, it is a standing parade. This one.
The credit cards have been traced to a family in Milton Keynes, and the mother has a disturbing story to tell.
Equipment stolen. She then broke down and told me that 1 o'clock this Saturday, just gone, there was a knock at the door. 2 men have burst into their house. One of them's got a shotgun, and they've threatened them. One man with the shotgun is thick set, and he's wearing a black balaclava mask. The other man is taller, he's got black slick back hair, and he's wearing a ski goggles. Out of the stolen car that Morrison were driving yesterday, we've got similar ski goggles and a similar balaclava hat. She says that they threatened him with the gun, and they ransacked the house. They took a big bunch of keys, described them to Eddie, and they would appear to be identical to the keys that Morrison's got. They had some BMW car keys stolen. Blackshaw's got some BMW car keys. Yes. These 2 men tied them up with black gaffer tape. We've got some black gaffer tape from the bag in the stolen car. He's given them his animal wallet, which is an identical description to that, which contained his bank card, and that's where we're at.
Right, there was no identification on that occasion. Again, you've got the option, if you wish, to move the position on the parade.
Can I move one of these people?
You can, yeah.
I'll move him. And the man in the blue, number 8.
Yeah.
The exchange.
Yeah, so
I'll send him number 2.
Okay, you happy with that?
Yeah.
They never reported it to the police. They're absolutely terrified and they're gutted, and they're frightened stiff that somebody else is going to come round and turn them over.
But they want to talk to the police now?
They're definitely expecting a visit, and they want to talk to us.
They're going to have to secure a scene.
There's only them 2 in the house. I'm going to speak to this police. I've told them to leave things as they are, and the cops are coming to see you ASAP.
So it's an important now, a couple of hours, we need to keep it going. Right, again, there was an identification on that occasion. Do you wish to say anything?
No.
Right, the time is now 7:24 and the parade's over. Thanks for turning up, gentlemen. Do you want to come this way?
4 out of the 6 witnesses have picked out Morrison, enough to charge him.
Do they know you found out about the Milton Keynes robbery yet?
Oh no, that's something we're not going to tell them at the moment. Obviously at the time we decide we're going to arrest them for that other robbery, and at the moment we're doing some enquiries down in Milton Keynes in relation to that robbery. So we're in a position then to arrest them on behalf of Milton Keynes for that robbery.
Right, these 2 officers will take you back, right? They're not allowed to ask you any questions in the car itself. They're not allowed to discuss the matter with you at all. Talk about anything else.
Is anybody down at Doncaster?
But I'll see you back at Doncaster for your interview. Okay. And don't be interviewed until we arrive back at the police station.
Dave, it's a bit of a snag in that there's no interview facilities down here. It'd have to be Bridge Street, so we're going to come back to Doncaster. But we're going to get a no reply, I know that, we've been told. Alright, so I'll ring you back at Di. Yeah, sorry.
Right. All right.
Cheers, right, thank you.
See you, bye.
Thanks, Inspector. Okay.
After 6 days and 1,200 hours of investigation, the police are ready to charge the 2 men. Morrison with attempted armed robbery, and Blackshaw with lesser offences.
Denies any involvement in the armed robbery offence, even though it was his car.
Right. Okay.
We're wishing to bail him in relation to that for ID purposes. The papers have already been served.
Right.
All right. And if it comes to doing an ID parade, when he comes back on bail, then we will sort that out.
Okay.
Right. So bail for that. We then want to charge him with offences which he has admitted, which are a theft, a deception at the cash converters to a sum of £952, and the theft of property from employer of £1,720. And he was in the company of a person who was about to be charged with a firearms offence and an attempt armed robbery. He has admitted on interview that he has a £200 a day heroin habit. He has no way of financing that habit other than committing crime, which in the relation to the ones he's being charged with, he's admitted that he did those offences to feed that habit.
Just listen to what I'm going to say. You're charged with the offence shown below. You're not to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you're not mentioned now. Something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. On Thursday, the 14th of June 2001, at Hatfield Post Office, High Street, Hatfield, Doncaster, attempted to rob David Robson and David Bullock of Hatfield Post Office, contrary to Section 1.1 of the Criminal Attempts Act 1981. No reply?
No reply.
On Thursday, 14th of June 2001, at Hatfield, Doncaster, had with you a firearm, namely a double-barrelled shotgun, with intent to commit an indictable offence, namely robbery, while you had said firearm with you, contrary to Section 18.1 of the Firearms Act 1968.
No reply.
Sign this one, please.
Right, Mr. Morrison, you're charged with these offences within a month of coming out of prison for similar offences. You'll be picked out by witnesses on an identification parade. Those witnesses you know the whereabouts of.
I'm surprised he stood on a parade, to be quite honest.
Well, I am. I'm amazed. But the thing is, they didn't want us to join, for instance, and I don't think that they thought we'd get it up and running by 6:30 and have an ID parade up with all them witnesses, which has took him by surprise, I bet. But yeah, you've done very well.
Yeah, good that.
Lovely. And he's coming. What time will he be back? In a bit.
So that he can speak in court.
2 weeks later, Morrison and Blackshaw make their first appearance in Crown Court. They face charges arising from the Hatfield raid, and now they've also been charged with the robbery in Milton Keynes. From now on, the case is managed by the Crown Prosecution Service lawyer, Ian Brownlee.
They appeared accompanied by 4 Group 4 personnel, 2 more Group 4 people guarded the door to the court. So the atmosphere in the court this morning was somewhat charged. They maintained, shall we say, a stoic silence throughout. They tend to stare very hard into the back of my neck. Neither of the accused made any application for bail this morning, and it has to be said, neither of them created any rumpus or ruction in court, so there was no rugby scrum in the dock, as perhaps Group 4 had been fearing. And eventually we were all released out into the sunshine again, bar for the defendants. The case has been gathered very quickly by the police, I think, and I understand that I'll be able to review the case within the next 2 to 3 weeks in full, except for forensic evidence.
I'm just looking at the hairs that I picked off, see whether they've got any root sheath material on. If they've got root sheath material on, then a lot more better chances of getting a profile sent off to DNA.
This is the first time the Forensic Science Service has allowed cameras to follow live investigations from start to finish.
It's what we use for the presumptive test for saliva. As you can see, there's a colour change area, which I'd imagine is around the mouth, which is where you would expect it.
Certain items that were found in Morrison's possession have been sent to the Forensic Science Service for analysis to see if we can find any trace of DNA from either of the suspects on particularly the balaclava mask and the ski goggles. What we ideally want on that is some indication that either Morrison or Blackshaw, or best of all, both of them, have been wearing those items, because in interview both defendants have denied having any contact with those items of disguise. The role of the Crime Prosecution Service is to take over prosecutions that have been begun by the police, to evaluate the evidence, to make sure that there is a proper case and that it's necessary to prosecute it in the public interest.
You sit at edit table, Dave. You're...
Aye, all right.
You're not gaffer.
I'll sit next to Trump.
Just means Sam's in trouble.
Alright, sit at edit table.
Chuffing hobo.
To decide whether there is sufficient evidence, the CPS has arranged the first meeting with the prosecuting barrister. The man who will take the case to court is Adrian Waterman.
Dave Pickett, I'm Detective Sergeant.
How do you do?
Rob Brown, who's OIC.
Hi, Rob. Carlton.
Carlton, who's done most of the work.
Right. The one with the big ears that says donkey. Essentially, as I see it, we've got four issues, or four central elements to this. We've got two offences, two defendants. We've got one very strong case against Morrison in relation to Hatfield. We've got three less strong cases. Blackshaw, Hatfield, and Morrison and Blackshaw, Milton Keynes. What do you think Blackshaw did?
Personally, I think Blackshaw's let him use his car, knowing that what they're going to do, but saying not to do with me, kid.
Right. Are we saying, no, our case against Blackshaw will be, he positively wasn't there, but he assisted by providing the car?
I think it's got to, because we can't prove that he was.
He lends them his car. At some point, he and Morrison meet up again and end up down in Milton Keynes. He wouldn't tell you how that all came about in the interview, but at some point he does. Unless he was acting under duress, he's choosing to stick around with Morrison after an occasion where he must have known there was a robbery. We've got this picture that not only goes against duress, but it goes against his suggestion that he knew nothing about what went on. What's his previous antecedent history?
I should have included that, Adrian, with brief. Do you want to keep it?
That'd be great. Have you got Morrison's as well? I know that he's got previous armed robbery, but just have a look at. Now, if you could tell me what you think has gone on in Milton Keynes.
Morrison's got strong connections down in Milton Keynes. That's where he originates from, Oxford, round there. They're on run. They've ended up going down there on Saturday morning, and there's other sort of connections down there. Morrison's an armed robbery. It's maybe not saying gun, we'd never know that, but what I'm saying is it's an armed robbery. Morrison has just done one we can prove he's done one in Hatfield. Circumstantially, it's another armed robbery, and then he's found in a car with proceeds at burglary, and also robbery kit, i.e. one's got goggles and one's got a mask in car.
My current feeling is that we're more likely to be going for conspiracy on Milton Keynes, because if we can show that there they are associated with the neighbour, telephone calls between the neighbour and them very close to the offence, and they then are found with the property from the robbery, the inference is it not, if they were not the robbers, that they're getting rid of it to help those who were. You with me? It's the surrounding evidence that's going to be very important. It's going to help me create a picture to the jury. Look, thanks for your help, that's been really useful.
There are two sets of photographs. The one that's already tight.
Now take this unused back one.
We've cleared on what we've got to do, what prosecuting barrister's going to need, so we'll get organised hopefully this afternoon or tomorrow and get it sorted.
And you've got plenty to do?
Loads to do.
They've been remanded. I think they're still at your prison. What we've been asked to look into by the prosecution barrister is there's some suggestion that they might have asked to be put in the same cell or on the same wing when they were brought in.
I've just been interested if you could put him into your custody handling and see if it popped anything up.
As you can imagine, it must have been absolutely terrifying for the couple in Milton Keynes. You know, the middle of the night, they're laid in bed, two masked men burst in the house, brandishing guns. They've got small children in the house. They're demanding money. The man is tied up. The woman is basically frog marched upstairs, semi-naked with a quilt around her, just to protect her modesty. She's terrified for herself, terrified for her children, frightened because her husband's downstairs tied up. She knows he's there. She's in the right dilemma, really. She's even considering jumping out at window. But obviously then her options are, do I jump out at window and kill myself because it's a 3-storey house? Or do I go back downstairs and face, you know, these men with guns? What a situation to be in.
If they knew what a dangerous person Morrison is, having just come out of prison after doing armed robberies, committing one on the Wednesday, and going down there and doing this on a Saturday, just how dangerous he is, not only to himself but to the general public. And
yeah, the husband perhaps might not have done all the talking he did if he'd have known that, eh?
No.
He certainly tried to talk his way out of it, that is for sure. But perhaps he might not have been so brave, because he has been brave, there's no doubt about it.
In September, the defendants are about to appear in court to admit or deny the charges. If they plead not guilty, the judge will set a date for trial. But Morrison is offering a deal on count 1, the Hatfield charge.
I had a telephone call from Morrison's barrister, and as far as I could understand it, he was for saying, we'll plead to the conspiracy on the first one, assuming you don't pursue the firearms offence, which I'm not bothered about neither here nor there, as long as he accepts that there was a firearm involved. And we'll have the trial on the second one. If that is offered to me on Monday, I'm inevitably going to want to accept it.
You're not proceeding on substantives for Morrison?
Against Morrison.
For Morrison?
Yes.
No, I don't know.
Well, I don't understand.
Because he's
Well,
like
been
picked out at
picked
scene.
out at ID by 4 people.
Of course. That's why he's pleading to the conspiracy.
But does it affect his sentencing in
Yeah,
that?
because his life imprisonment if he's,
But if he
he's
gets a
convicted at
conspiracy,
attempt. Because we're talking about a bloke who's been out of prison for
Hold on.
3 weeks, having just done 14 in total for... Yeah, that's all I'm...
I've understood all of that, right. He will get, on any view, an extremely long sentence, right? Even if he only was convicted of count 1 conspiracy on the Hatfield, he's going to get double figures, no question. So, as far as sentence is concerned, the sentence is going to be sufficiently big anyway that I don't mind whether it's conspiracy or substantive.
I can see why you're saying what you're saying now. I can see sense behind it, but I'm still a bit reluctant.
All right.
Are you telling me that if Morrison pleads guilty to conspiracy, it'll make our case easier against Blackshaw?
Yes, and against Morrison on the second incident. And it is not a less serious offence.
We're talking about numbers of years, us. That's what we're thinking about, aren't we?
Of course you are.
If we're honest,
of course
that's
you
what
are.
we're thinking about.
Of course you are.
So,
I don't think it'll make any difference, but let's all think about it over the weekend.
Right, see you later. Got a dash.
Good. Nice to see you again.
Much.
Take care.
Video from...
It is a difficult case. Apart from that one Morrison Hatfield post office one, it is a difficult case. But these sorts of cases tend to be like that. Lots of inferences built up with little bits of evidence to try and build a whole picture that ultimately will persuade the jury they're sure. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to persuade the jury they're sure, not that they're suspicious.
It's a simple dilemma. The police want to convict Morrison for attempted robbery at Hatfield, but the barrister believes that if they accept a conspiracy, it might help their case against both men for the robbery at Milton Keynes. The men will plead in court this afternoon.
I can see the method in it now. Well, I could see it Friday afternoon as we left, and I've been thinking about it all weekend. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, it's more of a calculated decision. It sticks it throat a bit that he's not getting a substantive charge, or he's pleading to a substantive and he's going for conspiracy. But I think, as he's explained, if sentencing is appropriate, which I'm sure it will be, we'll go for that. And I think it helps with, we've got him admitting to one and denying another. It's I am an armed robber to one in Doncaster, but I'm not an armed robber to one in Milton Keynes. And I didn't do it alone. Because that's what if he's admitting to conspiracy, he's admitting he's not doing it alone.
Somebody will win, and that would, hopefully the jury would
interpret that,
yeah. I thought it were decent of him to discuss it with us and ask our opinion anyway, at least.
The only place our cameras can't film is in court. These scenes have been reconstructed with actors, using transcripts of the hearings.
Would you please stand? Malcolm James Morrison and Colin Blackshaw, you are charged that you conspired together and with others to carry out a robbery at the Hatfield Post Office. Malcolm Morrison, do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Colin Blackshaw, do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
You may sit.
Morrison's sentence is adjourned until there is an outcome into the Milton Keynes investigation. He's remanded to Doncaster prison. For Malcolm Morrison, the Hatfield case is finally over.
It was a snap decision. I said, right, we're driving through the country. So I'll rob this place here. Pulled over, and just robbed it. Or tried to rob it. It's stupid. Silliness. It might be a cry for help, I don't know. And I'm always saying, I want to get caught here because I need to get back to jail quick. But that was a comedy, that. Driving into a car park, going into the post office after being seen, and putting the balaclava on while you're in there, instead of putting it on before I got in there. Then it all going wrong, coming back out of it. Eyewitness said that the robber was laughing. They all thought it was a farce. All I did, I feel sorry for the victims, the two blokes. So they were traumatised. So they've only been robbed 6 weeks before, which I didn't know that.
Right. The previous robbery, the 6 weeks beforehand, they'd actually broke in here and taken some money. Only a small amount, but they had taken some money. On this occasion, he fled empty-handed. So that was quite satisfying as well. The first time, you feel as though they've got away with something and you've lost. This time, he didn't get away with anything, and the police got a result on getting the man. So it was quite pleasing altogether, really.
Regret?
Not really. No. No regrets. It's a waste of time being regretful now, isn't it? No regrets. Lucky in a sense that if I would have committed that armed robbery, the first one, and got away with it, then Milton Keynes got away with it, which I didn't even, that was alleged. Got away with it, I'd have been going on and on. I might be still out there now doing more. Isn't it? Because I say it's an addictive thing, myself. It's like people are addicted to cigarettes, alcohol. I was addicted to armed robberies.
But gathering evidence against both men for the Milton Keynes robbery is not straightforward.
Stay for CID, Carlton.
Hi, it's Michelle Walton. I'm calling from the Forensic Lab at Wetherby.
Hey up, Michelle.
In relation to the samples that we sent from the balaclava,
Yeah.
well, we've actually got a mixed DNA profile, and in my opinion, it consists of at least DNA from 3 individuals. So it looks, in my opinion, that the saliva staining doesn't originate from them.
Right, from either of them.
From either of them on the balaclava.
Yeah.
In relation to the goggles, unfortunately there's not very much on them. We haven't recovered any hairs which are suitable for DNA analysis, and there's no blood on them. So we've preserved the screen of the goggles for fingerprinting, but I think that's about as far as we can take it.
Right.
If you've got any other problems, just give me a ring.
Will do.
Okay then, thanks a lot for your help. Thank you, bye.
In fact, there is neither forensic nor identification evidence that Blackshaw was involved in the Milton Keynes robbery. This time it's his lawyers who've been on the phone.
The cash card, nothing off it. So it does assist him slightly in that he can say the things that belonging to me have my fingerprints, the things that don't belong to me haven't got my fingerprints on.
The suggestion has been made by his counsel. What would our view be to handling?
Okay.
Yes.
I think that'd be a good result, that, the day, personally.
My guess is that if they got wind that we would be prepared to accept handling, that they will
be something.
They will be very tempted to try and resolve this without a trial.
Please.
My wife says she's going to commit an armed robbery, that way I'll see more of her.
Apparently leaving late, though, is something that professional people should expect to do.
Absolutely right. And do.
It cuts no ice.
In court, Blackshaw admits theft, obtaining property by deception, and from Milton Keynes, handling stolen goods. He's jailed for 28 months. The prosecution accepted his not guilty plea to the Hatfield charge. Two days later, Morrison pleads guilty again to conspiracy to carry out the robbery at Milton Keynes. His barrister is Samuel Parrish.
There is a psychologist's report. We felt it rather strange that Mr. Morrison should come out of prison, commit these offences, and make so little attempt to hide his identity, almost as though he was trying to get back in. I don't attempt to understand it. The psychologist, Mr. Finer, says there should be a further investigation.
Are you ready to move to sentence?
No.
I will adjourn for 3 weeks in order that Mr. Finer may complete his investigation.
How many people do you think, after doing a long time in jail, long term, how many people do you think go out of jail after doing 10 years, even 8 years, re-offend?
Are you asking me, are you going to tell me?
I'm asking you.
Well, I should think it's quite high.
Very high. Because they ain't prepared for the outside world. And they don't get prepared. But with a robber, they class us as like, cage them up. They don't need no help. Which we need help. We're all human beings. If they can say a rapist, a child molester, or a paedophile are sick people, what are robbers, car thieves, burglars? Right. And they got a problem. Drug addicts, alcoholics, and they got a problem. I've got a problem. What do I go and commit crime for?
You think you've got a problem?
I must have a problem to go out and commit more crime.
Right, okay.
So I've gone out to commit a crime to get money because I'm skint and I need this and need that. I've gone out and committed a crime. For what reason? That's what I'm asking. I've got a problem, haven't I? After just coming out of jail for doing that armed robberies, now I'm back out again. I'm back in the same situation.
Right. What about the other prisoners? Any contact?
Yeah, just with a few.
Did you initiate it, or was it some response you made to?
No, I just have it with a few inmates anyway. I don't have it with a load of people.
Okay.
I would take no shit off anyone.
Right. By that you mean any kind of criticism?
Oh, anything, like pushing a queue, jumping the queue, or to get back.
Right. In other words, a lack of recognition, lack of respect, that's really...
Yeah.
Right.
Some people haven't got that.
Right, okay.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't push in a queue, jump the queue. This is the things what...
Right. So how do you...
Little things what people outside would think, oh, that's stupid.
Right.
Inside, it means a lot.
There was some resentment towards you because you actively chose not to involve yourself in any kind of discussion, conversation with anyone else. You wanted to be on your own. You wanted to be alone with your own thoughts without any interaction.
Yeah, I prefer my own company.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction did you get to that?
Well, they just said you anti-authority. You're anti-authority and institutionalised.
His whole environment is one of living a withdrawn life in prison. I think his psychological profile is such that the ingredients are there for developing what I would describe as a personality disorder. He will retreat deeper into himself. He will develop obsessions. No matter how long or how short he remain incarcerated, he will remain a danger to others.
Whether he is released after a short period or a long period, he represents a serious danger in the absence of any treatment?
Yes, sir.
How long would it take with the appropriate treatment to restore Mr. Morrison to a more normal state of mind?
I think it's impossible to say. A lot would depend on the way Mr. Morrison is willing to cooperate in whatever program is advised.
Are we looking at 4 to 5 years?
Yes, I think something could be done in that sort of time.
If Mr. Morrison is treated properly, and we take our responsibilities seriously towards people like Mr. Morrison, well, maybe we have to take an element of risk. Mr. Morrison is willing. He wants to cooperate. Why should this country spend hundreds of thousands of pounds to keep him incarcerated? Mr. Morrison needs something to live for. If you impose an indeterminate sentence, I fear we have wasted our time this morning.
I'm surprised to hear you say that it is a waste of time.
I can only speak from many years of experience. If he is not given a determinate time, he will have nothing to live for.
If there was some guarantee that he could get the 4 to 5 years of intensive treatment which Mr. Finer thinks is required, one might be inclined to take a chance on behalf of the public. I wish I had your enthusiasm for the chances of that, but at the moment, as the law stands, there is little I can do.
When I was walking into town to go onto the dole to sign on, to register, people were walking towards me, and I get into a shop doorway, so I just felt like I couldn't cope. I was having a panic attack.
Right.
So I was sweating, my heart was racing. So that's how I got out. I had no job and told really that it's pointless me trying for a job. So what chances did I have for getting a job?
How did you feel? When
Angry, I felt...
Just angry?
No, annoyed as well. It's like me coming to you, say you're in the shop or supermarket, and I said to you, right, give me a job, stacking shelves. And you said, all right, and you got a criminal record? I said, yeah. What's your criminal record? We've got armed robberies. Would you give me a job? No, you wouldn't.
When you got caught, how did you get
caught? Oh, relieved. Well, caught. Thank God for that.
Right.
Now I'm going back home. Back to jail.
Malcolm Morrison. I have read and heard evidence today from Mr. Finer, which I accept, that in your present state, you are a serious risk to yourself and to the public, unless you receive intensive treatment over some 4 to 5 years. I cannot order this treatment, and there is no way of knowing whether you will get it. Would you please stand? I am satisfied, on the evidence of Mr. Finer, that the only sentence which would provide this protection is life imprisonment. But I will give you an incentive to obtain and comply with treatment. The minimum period before you may apply for parole I assess at 5 years. If you seek and complete the treatment, you could well get a release shortly after that. If not, your release will be much later, because there is no doubt you are a serious danger to the public. Your counsel submits that life imprisonment will rob you of hope. I reject that submission, because the short minimum period will give you the hope and a potential focus for the future.
I thought it was outrageous, because I was given a life sentence for conspiracy to commit armed robbery when no one was shot or killed. I thought it was unjust.
I thought it was absolutely correct in the circumstances, with the knowledge that the judge had. I think there may be further information to come forward, though, that might have allowed the Court of Appeal to take a different view.
I think a life sentence, yes, is the right sentence. He's a very dangerous man, on his own admission. If he receives the treatment that he obviously requests, and subsequently he becomes a no threat to society, then he will be eligible for parole, and I think that's correct.
I've just one little concern, and that is the tariff that the judge put on regarding his parole, 5 years. I think the public may have some concerns about that. Whilst I agree with rehabilitation measures, I think we should still put emphasis on punishment, and I think Morrison should be punished as well as rehabilitated.
I think that the prosecution did the best they could, and I think the judge did the best he could. And a man who committed 2 very serious offences has gone to prison for life. And it's for other people, I guess, to judge whether that's justice.
Do you intend to spend the rest of your life in prison because it's safer, or?
I don't know, the way things are going, it looks like I'll be in jail for the rest of my life.
Well, no, the question, do you want to, or do you want to get out there?
Oh, God, I want my freedom. Of course I want my freedom.
So you want us to see if we can find a way where you can get treatment that will fit you to go outside?
Yeah.
I think the judge has got the idea that in the next 5 years before your parole date, you should have some form of treatment to equip you for going outside and make you less of a danger.
Yeah, to the public. Where's it going to come from?
Well, that's what we've got to find out.
That's what we've got to do. We've got to work together, and with Mr. Finer and whoever else he can put us in touch with.
If I get out again, then anything happens, I can blame the judge, I can blame you sort of people. Seriously, it's all that.
6 months after sentence, no provision has yet been made for psychological treatment for Malcolm Morrison. Colin Blackshaw was released from prison last week after 15 months in custody.
Anatomy of a Crime returns for a new series on BBC One in the new year.
The dead will have their say.
The body's that of an adult, probably male. Facial